Introduction to Classical Tibetan, Lesson 7-4, Verbal Uses of Particles. The last three particles that we'll cover are the source particles, the Ladin particle, and the conditional particle. When they're placed between sentences, the source particles, ne and le, are used to indicate a sequence of events. It's usually translated as having done sentence 1, then sentence 2. Ne is much more commonly found than le, but when it does occur, it is found after the infinitive form of the verb. For example, ngechung gyu la kye ne, changsem kebar chao. Again, begin with the verb just before the ne, kye, meaning produced or arisen. To the left of that, we have a Ladin particle, so we can ask ourselves, produced in what? Gyula, in the mind. Gyu means continuum, which often means mental continuum. What is arisen in the mind? Ngechung, renunciation. So the first sentence is, renunciation arises in the mind. Then we have kebar ja. Remembering that ja is an auxiliary verb showing that one ought to do something. This means one must generate. One must generate what? Changsim, bodhicitta, the mind of enlightenment. One must produce bodhicitta. These are connected with ne, showing that the action of the first sentence comes before the second. So to put these together, we can say, after renunciation has arisen in the mind, one must produce bodhicitta. We could also use le here instead of ne, but we would have to attach it to the infinitive form of kye. So instead of kye ne, we would say kye pa le. The meaning is exactly the same. Sometimes these particles can also indicate simultaneous action. For example, pame dunga tene nyingje kye so. The first part is, one remembers the suffering of one's parents. The second part is, compassion arose. So we could translate the whole thing together as, while remembering the suffering of one's parents, compassion arose. The particle la placed immediately after the root form of a verb connects the two sentences together. It can be translated by and, or simply as a comma, a semicolon, or a period. For example, korwa na dunga kona yula changchu medo. The part before the la is an existential sentence, with yu as the main verb. So we have, in samsara, na here is a Ladin particle, only suffering exists. The second sentence reads, there is no enlightenment. The two sentences are linked together by the la particle. So altogether, we could say, in samsara, only suffering exists. There is no enlightenment. It is important to keep in mind that if la comes after the infinitive form of the verb, this can indicate purpose. See Lesson 5 to review that concept. Additionally, if you find a verb plus par or bar, this indicates that this verb and the action that occurs in the next sentence are simultaneous. For example, gewa me par dewa me. While there is no virtue, there is no happiness. Finally, the particle na indicates a temporal or conditional relationship. It can be translated as when or if, depending on context. For example, Nima sharwa na lam dushu so. When the sun rose, one entered on the path. If na indicates if, it is sometimes accompanied by gelte or gelsi at the beginning of a sentence. For example, galte me yuna duwa chungwar gyuro. Galte has no meaning on its own, but serves along with na to mark the antecedent of the conditional sentence. So if there is fire, smoke, dua, will appear. Those are the last three of the most common particles found between sentences. Let's review all 9 that we've covered. Connective particles indicate a contradiction and are translated as but, however, and so on. Concessive particles indicate a contradiction where the action of the first sentence is insufficient for the action of the second, translated as but, although, and so on. Agentive particles can indicate reason, and the particle chir can show reason or purpose. The particle dang connects two sentences, showing that they are simultaneous or in a causal relationship. The particles qing, xing, and xing indicate a close relationship or simultaneity. The source particles show a temporal sequence. The ladun particle connects two sentences together or shows the simultaneous relationship between sentences. And finally, the conditional particle shows a temporal or conditional relationship and is translated by either when or if.